There were people calling my name from the stands, people yelling my name, people yelling, "What's wrong with Hamlet? What's wrong with Hamlet?" I wasn't the only one that was very, very strangely, curiously scratching our heads as to what the hell was going on. I had my own players even come over to me and ask me, was I hurt? What was going on? How do you even respond to that? Because if you respond in a negative way, you could potentially even throw other people off, even though they were already thrown off. I had nothing. I'm a talkaholic. Hell, shit. I love to talk. I had nothing. What do you say? Nothing else was said to me about that from that point on. Ever. No explanation as to why. No explanation as to, even as we began to lose the game, why I was not inserted into the game. We lost that game. I believe 29-14 or 15, something like that. And I never saw the field. And again, I told you, I was a junior at this time. Now, yes, if you didn't know, and if you hadn't seen the pictures on YouTube or Instagram, I am an African-American male. And yes, the person that replaced me, the backup, was a Caucasian male. Throughout the whole off-season workouts and nothing was ever said. So I go into my senior year, and I don't even know whether I can trust my head coach. But what do? You can't pick up and move. This is, you're talking about in the 1980s. You don't just pick up and move. It's not like I'm going to tell my parents just to pick up and move, to go to another school. And I had to play through that shit. And try to keep my head up from the embarrassment that caused. And not only the embarrassment, but people don't even realize of even potentially what that could have done as far as colleges that wanted to recruit me. But what do? You got to live on, right? So go into the senior year. And as I told you earlier, we had a 10-0 perfect season. Only time in school history. I shout out to that team. My offensive line was bigger that year than the Chiefs' offensive line. A professional offensive line. That year, we used that loss, and I'll say all of us collectively, I believe, it just felt like it, as motivation. And we felt like we were going to beat people so bad that there was not going to be any losing close or losing and not giving full effort. And man, we whooped ass that year, okay? You can go back and look at the records. I'm not trying to hype myself up or hype my team up. And anybody that you talk to will tell you that we, and the statistics show it, we averaged 38 points a game that year. And the defense, it wasn't just the offense. The defense was just as stout, just as potent. The defense only gave up 3 points a game. I said it, 3 points a game. Gave up a total of 30 points in those 10 games. Our only loss ended up being in a sectional playoff game to the defending state champions. We ended up ranked 5th in the state. Yet, man, had been ranked 1 and 2 pretty much all year long, yet had no initial scholarship offers, none to any D1 schools. Pretty decent resume if you ask me. Never part of a losing team. I think being ranked 5th in state, in the entire state at the end of the year, I think that's pretty dang on good too. And we didn't just win, we won convincingly. And this is back before the days where media was just, all over the place, especially even now in high school. But we had media following us. We would be at other teams' game on their fields, and their fans would be asking us for autographs. And I experienced that in high school. And then I went to college, and it almost seemed like the same thing happened again. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that I played with, but the resumes of the people that were in competition were not comparable to what I had done in high school. But yet I had to scratch and claw to get the opportunity to get the starting job. Once I did, I was a part of, not the only one, a part of a team that where I went to undergrad hadn't won in like 13 years. And we turned that around and had the first winning season that they had had in that amount of time. We made that turnaround in my junior year. Didn't have such a successful senior year where we lost a game by 1, we lost a game by 2, and we lost a game by 3 points. And so instead of having a nice 7-3 record, or decent, we ended up 4-6. So that pretty much killed any kind of conference honors or any honors. And I went to a smaller university, so it was already going to be hard. And I'm not saying, please let me step back for a second and to say, I'm not saying that I automatically would have made it to the pros. I had an opportunity. I did do time trials and some other things that they do off-site. Much of what they do at these pro days, they still had them. They didn't call them pro days, but several scouts would show up at different universities and they would take you through the same drills that they would do at the combine. So I've been through that process. I was asked to go through that process based off of my performances and based off the tape on the film. But again, I'm not saying that I would have made it. But the potential and the opportunity was never going to be afforded to me because of the decision to play quarterback. Because still then, in 1993, I believe the main name that you only heard was Randall Cunningham. He's not the only one, and I read just an interesting article a couple of days ago, and it listed all the black quarterbacks who have played in the NFL. And it listed the first time a black quarterback ever started for every team in the NFL. It's quite an interesting article. So why do I even kind of make the correlation? It's because of the mentality that people don't feel that we have the intelligence enough to play the position. And so because of that mentality, we don't get the opportunity. But here's what's left on the table. I'm going to use an extreme example, but this is an example nonetheless. Peyton Manning, who is a favorite of many people. Approximately, we won't know all the numbers, but contractually, and this is not including the endorsements which he was able to receive because of his exposure, because of his play, because of his opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, made approximately $171 million. And yes, that type of money can change the dynamics of someone's family for generations. But that opportunity was not afforded to myself or many of the other black quarterbacks that played during those times and earlier, and even sometimes now, because people still have this mentality that we don't have the intelligence to run the position. And then now in the NFL, you see this predominance of a mentality that we don't have the intelligence to run a team. And right here on my own hometown team, the Kansas City Chiefs, we have Eric Bieniemy. Now, if you don't like his personality, fine. If that's what that's the ultimate thing that you're thinking of, but that's not what makes up a coach only. It's not just personality. And this man has been a part of a transformation in Kansas City that cannot be denied. And he's done it in several positions as a running back coach as well as an offensive coordinator. And regardless of what your thoughts are about him calling plays or not, he is in those meetings with everybody from the head coach to the quarterback coach to Patrick Mahomes himself. So to this idea that just because he may not call every single play, that he does not have the intelligence to put together the game plan, to articulate it to those who need it to be articulated, because as an offensive coordinator, he's not only doing it to the quarterback, he's also disseminating all this information to the rest of the offensive core. And we have said, well, not we, the NFL has put out a pseudo criteria for this resume that you need to become a head coach. And he has fulfilled all of that and then some compared to some of the other hires that have happened, yet he has still not been given an opportunity to run an NFL team. I didn't win a national championship, but guess what? I had a winning record as a quarterback. You look at many of the black quarterbacks now. Lamar Jackson, he hasn't won a championship yet, but he has a winning record. Russell Wilson has one win, one loss, but he has a winning record overall. Patrick Mahomes has a winning record overall. Warren Moon, I mean, you go down the list. When given the opportunity and surrounded by the same assets as other players that are freely given these opportunities to perform, the production is well. I've not done poorly for myself, so it's not a sob story. But what it is saying is the idea to not even give a person like myself the potential to earn. Because now, like the example that I used, Peyton Manning, his family, his kids, they're all set up. All because of his opportunity to be able to perform. And so you effectively cut that off when you effectively say that a person doesn't have the intelligence or the ability to perform in the capacity to fulfill that position. There are too many well-qualified black NFL coaches that deserve the opportunity to be head coaches. The time is now to change. Change doesn't happen because we don't want change to happen. Change is not some abstract concept. It is a very real, fluid, and moving concept. You change your socks because they stink. They give off an odor and let you know that it's time for them to be changed. You can't keep wearing them. Your underwear, the same way you change them. Why? Why do you change them? Because they start smelling, they start stinking. You get your butt in the shower and you clean it off. Why? Because it starts smelling and lets you know that the same status quo cannot be We don't change because we don't want to change. And we don't want to give these individuals the opportunity. It's almost kind of like a slap in the face to say that it takes time to change. Well, how much time is it that you're wanting? That's all I want to know.